Hello again, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Game Pass Grab Bag, your weekly podcast reviewing games from the Game Pass collection, bringing you three unique perspectives from varying skill range. I am the Captain Ahab of this episode, Andrew. With me are Captain Morgan, Keith,
Lobster,
and our Captain Crunch, Liz.
Hey guys.
And this week was a Liz-eccentric episode. We did Moonglow Bay by BunnyHug. BunnyHug Studios? I don't know, I guess they're just called BunnyHug. But Moonglow Bay is a top-down fishing simulator. It's a town management, relationship building, fishing simulator, I guess is kind of the best way to describe it, where you are playing a fisherman who has lost a loved one, and the town is essentially in shambles, and you decide to dust off your fishing rod and try to refix the town by catching fish, cooking them up, and serving them to the townspeople. Going around, for me, I'm going to give it a game, but I will say it is a pass if you're doing co-op. I'll get into it in just a little bit, but I did have a lot of fun with it, but this game does have some bug issues.
Yeah, there's definitely aspects where I felt like, I don't know, either something wasn't explained well enough or something wasn't working, but I wasn't ever really too sure. I guess I'm kind of leaning towards a game, but I don't know. I think I'd probably find a better option if I was looking for this type of game. So I kind of a pass. I'm like in the middle right now.
Huh.
For me, it's a game. I just found it so addicting, but there's a lot of qualms that I have with it. The story, the gameplay, and that co-op bug that just ruined my game.
Yeah.
Well, okay, ruin is harsh, but I did see online a lot of game-breaking bugs, so I am also going to give it a game, but just not for right now. I would wait till they fix it.
Yeah, so as of recording, it is November 9th. So this game just recently released, so if you listen to this episode later on, there's a very good chance these bugs have been fixed, and this is a much better experience. But before we get into it, I at least want to state, as Liz said, the co-op bug. This game does have couch co-op, but to give a friendly advice to everyone, because I don't want this information to get lost in the noise later on in the episode, because I think this is pretty important. If you're playing couch co-op, please make a separate save game, because even when you turn co-op off, when you go back to single player, it still kind of considers the game being co-op. And so if you have to do certain boss fights, you need a second player for the rest of the game with you the entire time. And not only that, as soon as you stop co-op, I don't know why the developers did this, but the second player character puts herself right between the stairs and the bed, and you can no longer access your bed because the character is there. No matter where your partner discontinues co-op, like wherever they put their character, the game, whatever reason, put them literally in the worst spot between the stair and the bed. So, as I said, if you are playing couch co-op, just make a separate file and you always play couch co-op and you'll be fine. But it's not good if you're switching on and off on the same profile. All right, so getting into it, as I said, the story is about, you are this geriatric fisherman. You're kind of this older person. You get to pick which one of your characters you get to be. But you move to this small town in Canada, in the eastern coast, and you and your significant other just love it here. But the townsfolk find all the fish to be superstitious, and they cause curses and they cause misfortune. So everyone is afraid of the bay except for you and your partner. But later you find out your partner went missing and you have given up fishing. But your loved one comes back and you have a renewed vigor to fix the town and fix the bay. What did you guys think of the story?
I mean, a means to an end. I didn't think there was really anything all that engaging about it. I thought you could choose younger characters. I didn't think they were all older.
They're all pretty geriatric.
Oh, all right. Well, either way, that part didn't really matter to me. But yeah, I guess, yeah, you have a purpose to be there, but it's just kind of your classic, all right, let's help rebuild this town, and yeah, I don't know, I wasn't overly engaged in the people.
I thought there's 4 characters. So there's 2 young ones and then 2 older ones.
They're both pretty old. They're all like at least in their 40s.
4.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, anyway, I
guess I'm arguing about the age of the character you picked.
I thought there was 4 at the beginning.
Yeah, you can pick
2 older and 2 younger.
They all look like they're at least over 40.
Oh, okay. For me, the wife being missing and stuff, it kind of goes to the background, and I really didn't like the townspeople. For me, not only did they keep asking for things, they were so snarky and they didn't appreciate it. sometimes you got a thank you, sometimes you got just a grumpy person. And then also, I feel like the town itself, I couldn't tell if they were actually afraid or if they were just lazy, because they're like, oh, we need help cleaning up this trash. It's like, okay, well, if you guys are too afraid to go in the water to make money for your town, you can at least clean up after yourselves. Pick up your own trash. Like, that blew my mind, that it's like, oh no, we can't go in the water.
Yeah, nobody even want to pick up the trash on the beach. Like the beach.
Yeah,
you didn't even have to go in the
not
water.
even in the water. Like, maybe they came from somewhere else if it's in the water, but the trash that's on land, and it's just the rudest, laziest people. And yeah, for me, so I just, didn't care too much about the town.
So I'm going to disagree a little bit with you guys. I actually thought the story was decent. Not great. It definitely had some plot holes. I agree with you, Liz.
The wife's supposed to be the great fisherman?
Yeah. Okay, that's one
And
thing.
so-
Nobody cares really about you. Everyone's always like, and nobody knows you. Everyone knows your partner. They're like, oh yeah, your partner was such a great person. They love this town. Who are you again? Oh, you're the person who's married to them. Like, no, you've been living in this town for years and nobody knows who you are.
Yeah, so it's just your character, and because I picked the older guy. It's him and his daughter that are working together to try to restore the town. And then I kind of get the idea that maybe you looked for your significant other. I don't know.
So here's my question. So the game starts. You've just moved to this little village in the middle of Canada, right? And
Not middle. You're by the coast.
Cut to your what?
You're not middle of Canada. You're by the coast. So
Sorry, on the coast of Canada. My apologies. So you show up there and you're gonna fish. Your partner pretty much gets nom super dead right off the bat, and then you go and you hide in your house for like the next 3 years. How does anyone even know your partner? Because you weren't even there long enough to open the gift that they gave you. Like it must have been like the next day or the same day that they got eaten. How does everyone know that they're such a great fisher if they died so quickly?
Your partner grew up in this town.
Okay.
The partner grew up in the town.
Okay.
So yeah, that's why.
She gave you the fishing journal, and then the townspeople end up signing it later if you give them enough.
Yeah.
Dishes. But for me, I also want to point out that fishing has always been dangerous.
Yep.
I don't know why this is all of a sudden the town and people were like, oh no, we can't go in the water. It's like you didn't know fishing was dangerous. And then Andrew. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I kind of took it that they were just kind of a. What's a nice way to say not too bright? They were kind of
bumpkin.
They weren't even dumb. They were isolated. They didn't have really the real world going on around them. So like anything that they couldn't explain was like magical, basically.
Which is always the case for a fisherman.
I feel like you'll probably cut this off, like what I'm about to say. But didn't you say that this is based in Quebec?
No, it's not. I did confirm this isn't. It's near Quebec, though, because you get your scientific transmitters from Quebec.
Because I just want to say that, I mean, they're not known for being nice people, and it's portrayed like this in the game. And by the way, it's the same with like people from Massachusetts coming across as aggressive. I can't even talk. It's like people from Massachusetts coming across as aggressive, which is me. But for me, I'm just like saying like they're kind of playing into that a little bit. I think it's a weird choice. That's all I'm saying.
I don't know.
But these people aren't from Quebec.
What?
So these people aren't from Quebec, though.
But they're from near Quebec. It's like, okay, I'm not from Boston, but I'm from near Boston, and we're all the same.
I guess. But I mean, one thing I at least like about the story is that, anytime you do any sort of like property management game, like coming into a farm, the story is always the same. A distant relative died and you inherited their farm and it's run down and you got to fix it up and fix up the town. This game at least did a different approach. So I at least found that to be kind of a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, you show up before the family member dies instead of them dying.
No, you're with them when they die.
Even better, yeah. So a real twist. You watch your partner get murdered by some fishes, and then you inherit the fishing business that you really don't want to inherit. Also, are you like an absent parent? Like your daughter?
That's what I was curious.
I thought she went away to college.
But she just didn't show up when her parent died. Like
But that's the other thing too. I can't tell. I couldn't figure out if she was adopted or supposed to be from a previous marriage, because it didn't seem like the daughter ever called your partner like their parent. They always kind of described. They always said their name, so that's why I was like, is she from a I don't know. This I will say is my complaint about the overall story, though, is that there wasn't a lot explained. Like, they don't fully explain what did happen to your partner. You kind of find some remnants of them, but you still don't fully understand, because the game starts off saying that they're missing.
But I feel
and they
like
just disappeared.
They give more information about secondary characters.
Yeah.
Like the guy that works at his father's like tech store. I feel like I know more about him than any of the main characters.
Yeah. Like,
I
I don't know
about his hopes, his dreams.
Yeah, because I don't know anything about the daughter either.
Because there's always that character that, is like, I need to get out of this small town,
That is a very typical stereotype.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was weird that she doesn't show up until 3 years later, and it's like, oh, well, only really because I was paid to be here, so I guess I figured I'd stop in and say hello. And hey, you know how your partner died in the ocean? You should get out there and do the same. It'd be super cool, because I kind of need your help. Like, she just kind of sucks, is kind of what I'm getting at.
That is a good point. She really does just kind of come in there and she's like, yeah, you're going to start fishing again. Have fun, Dad, or whoever you picked.
Another controversial thing. Don't know if you should get this out. I just thought it was interesting that at the beginning you can pick your pronouns, but I don't think there were any characters that they said they.
Yeah.
I thought that was, maybe I missed it, but it's always like, oh, he would really like this, she would really like that. So for me, and then also when you pick your pronouns, they get them wrong.
They get your partner's pronouns wrong.
Yeah,
that's a current bug.
So I just thought it was weird that they have this feature that doesn't work anyway, so you get the wrong pronoun. But I didn't have, like, if you're going to, why not make a character that is a different pronoun if you're going to have that feature anyways to be more inclusive? Like, I felt like they were like, let's be inclusive. There, done.
We can't
nothing else in the game is inclusive.
Yeah. So,
but I could be wrong. There could be a character that I just didn't see, but I never saw that.
Well, there's a handicapped person that's inclusive, even though the handicapped person had square wheels, which I thought was kind of funny.
Well, everything is kind of square in the game, but basically, I think what you're saying is they can't really write inclusivity. They don't know how to do that, but they're just like, well, we'll kind of throw it out there. But I think definitely that's a bug, because I was looking through the Reddit page for this because there's actually some pretty helpful tips I found on there, but I was looking through and it seemed like that was kind of a running theme. And then, as Andrew mentioned early on the episode, the game has been out a very short period of time, so I think they're going to be fixing these things. Like, I actually was just looking as we were recording on Twitter, and they had posted something today that they're working hard on getting an update out for the Xbox. I didn't see what the update was, but I suspect they'll probably be fixing some of these bugs we're probably even currently talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, and since we're already on the topic of bugs, sometimes the nets don't work, FYI. And I don't know if it was the co-op mode or whatever, but there were times where my music would always be ominous.
Yep, I had that happen to me.
It was just kind of annoying after a certain point, because it was like doomsday music, and it's just like something's gonna go down when I'm just talking to people. So I mean, there's so many bugs that people are posting online that you can see people being stuck in walls, and they restart their game and nothing can happen. So
yeah, a very unfortunate thing is this game does not have autosave. So if you play, make sure you save often.
You lost a couple hours, right? Because your game crashed.
Yep.
Yeah. So when he told me that, I was just, whenever I did a bunch of stuff, I would just save.
Yeah. Oh, because the bug that happened to me. So be careful with this. If you leave your controller alone, as most people know who've had an Xbox, if you leave your controller, like if you go AFK for a while, your controller just turns off. And the game makes you re-sign into your profile, in which I did, but it froze the game. And so that's why I lost a couple hours of play. So if you are going to leave the game and go AFK, make sure you save your game before you leave.
That's weird. I feel like I had that happen to me and I didn't run into that issue.
It didn't happen all the time, but it did a couple times.
Well, I thought it made me re-sign in, but I know, I was going to say, I have a wired controller, so that's probably why it didn't turn off.
Yeah.
So that's part of it. But as far as audio bugs, the weirdest one that happened with me was the audio didn't work through my TV speakers, but if I plugged in my headset, I got audio, all of it, and it worked perfectly fine. But when I was, and I triple, quadruple checked. I was not
Your
muted.
TV was on mute.
Nope, I was not muted. My volume was at a listening level, and no audio from my TV.
I like that you're acting like we're gonna say like all of our bugs are good, but the one that you mentioned, Keith, no way.
I mean, I don't know.
We believe you.
Thanks, Liz. But yeah, I ruled out all of my potential issues, and nope, it was just a weird audio thing. Couldn't figure it out.
It just feels so good to have Andrew actually confirm my bugs this week.
I know, because I actually try to fix it, but then I'm like, nope, this is actually a straight up bug. But so getting a little bit into the gameplay, the first things I want to complain about, since we were already kind of talking about
Going into the negative.
no, well,
A little
this
bit.
this is kind of a minor one, but it still just kind of annoyed me. So you get to pick between of 4 different characters, basically 2 feminine type characters and 2 male-esque characters. And as I said, you get to pick your partner, whether it be guy, girl. You can pick their pronouns, your pronouns. So at first I was like, oh, cool, this game's giving me like a lot of customization. There was like very little customization. That's what irritated me. So yes, I'm picking my character, but you can't change the clothes, can't change the hairstyle. You have a pet.
House.
Yeah, you can't change your house. You have a pet. It's a dog. You can't pick a cat. You can't pick a bird. You can't change its name.
You can change your ship a little bit.
To one other color.
Yeah.
And honestly, I did not notice the difference.
I didn't notice either. I didn't. I was like, wait, what was my original color?
Yeah, so like this is what kind of makes me sad. Like, because first thing when I looked at this game, I know Liz did too. I kind of compared it to Stardew Valley. Oh, it kind of looks like it'd be like that instead of a farmer, you're a fisher. And essentially, this game is kind of similar to that. But yeah, just like the lack of customization would just kind of annoyed me. I wish I had, because like this game, it's cool. You can do all these things and pick your pronouns, play kind of who you want to play, but not really. You can't really change your character's appearance or your boat or anything like that.
Could you really change your appearance much in Stardew? It's been a while
Yes.
since I played
Yeah, all your
Okay.
your clothes, your hair,
Okay.
all kinds of stuff. But see, for me, I feel like I got a lot of gripes. My biggest gripe is I feel like they didn't explain a lot of things. And so one of the things is the whole, because you're cooking a lot and sometimes you get 3 stars. But I was like, how many times do I have to do this? If I do a bulk batch, is that going to affect like if I get a higher rating sooner? Because there are certain things you have to do to unlock certain recipes. They didn't explain that. And then also like the indicators on the map when you had different quests going, you couldn't like have like a cursor over that told you like, oh, that's for this mission.
Yeah, it
that's
just
for
said
that
objective.
one.
That's
and same
all.
with the renovations. Like I'm like, did I do all the renovations? Because my bar has looked full for the last 4 renovations. I have no idea. And then Andrew told me that there's one more that you have to do later on, story wise, because there's an achievement. But I was just like, why can't you tell me anything?
Yeah, I mean, you could set the different markers. So like you
Oh,
could
you
do
could.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can make
You
custom
could
markers.
label them?
Yeah.
Well,
But
I
still,
don't think
who
you
wants
could.
to take the time to do that? Just
Could you actually
it.
label them though?
Okay, I guess not so much label them, but you have different icons.
Yeah, so you could set like different, like a star or a heart and different
Or a
different
fish,
icons.
yeah.
Yeah, but then you have to remember which one's which, right?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I mean,
For me, just put a name or just put special fish or something.
No, I get what you're saying. Like, it would be nice for the markers to actually tell you that, but you kind of had a mechanism to do it, and I don't know. I guess if you come up with a little system of how you want to mark things out, because you never have a huge number of missions running. I think at most I had like maybe 5 at a time. Maybe it really opens up later in the game, but
sometimes they have multiple markers for them. So like there might be one that has like 4 markers, and then there might be another one that has 3. So.
yeah, no, again, I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm not even really defending it. I just, I didn't find it that detrimental. I would just, unmarked missions that I didn't want to look for, kind of just take them one at a time.
I understand where you're coming from, Liz, and I do kind of agree with you, because you do get a lot of quests.
I didn't realize you could do that. But at the same time, give me a tutorial.
There is a tutorial, but it is kind of one of those things you blink and you miss it. They tell you one time, this is how you do this is how you do this. If you forget it, I couldn't find a way to re-look up things. Did you, Keith?
I didn't try to, no.
I mean, I couldn't find any. So, but the game's not very difficult. You kind of just have a few different gameplay elements. You know, you have the town where you're renovating things, you're spending your money to make the town look better. You have your boat, which of course you're going around exploring the ocean, finding fishing spots. Then you have the fishing mechanic of actually fishing the fish, which is very simple. I didn't appreciate that. But then you also have the cooking, and the cooking is just a series of mini games. You know, keep the marker in the blue bar, press A at the right time, press B at the right time. Really simple mini games.
That's why what you said earlier about wanting like a refresh, I needed that because I had missed how to fry. And so for the first like 20 times I did it, I was like, I don't know how to do this. And Andrew's at work, so I guess I'm just going to fry. And so you have to hold it, which Andrew showed me. But I was actually looking online. I couldn't find it. I was like, how did I miss this?
So the gameplay is very simple. But because of that, I think this game is a great game to play if you have a younger player with you. I'd say a good, probably like 6-year-old, probably the minimum age I'd maybe say. But the game's very simple. You know, the bobber goes down, hit button, press A, press B. Really simple. So me and Liz played the co-op for a while, and I thought the co-op was a lot of fun. I just wish I knew it was bugged.
But you have to stay on it's because it's couch co-op. You have to stay in the same area, which is kind of annoying. And then I also, I'm really glad that I was working on renovations first because you can get some really cool stuff with the renovations. You can get a scooter, which I feel like the walking was already pretty fast. There are a lot of games that you walk so slow. Yeah. I feel like I didn't need the scooter, and I kept losing it, so that's, great. But then you can also get a line that you can catch 5 fish at a time.
Oh my gosh, that was awesome.
Yeah, there's a lot of recipes that you need certain specific fish. And then also you just want to cook and make a ton of money to do more renovations anyways. So for me, I was just like trying to get those renovations going.
I mean, that's pretty nifty, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like I say this all the time. Every game has fishing. Obviously this one did because it's fishing based. But at that same token, it's like I just got bored with the fishing. Like, cool, I can, catch 5 at a time. That's great. It's more efficient. But it doesn't change much for me. The gameplay
And you can't do it on land, too, which is annoying. Why can't I catch 5 fish on land?
I don't know. Ask the developers. Don't get angry at me. I'm just saying that, nothing about it was like, wow, this is exciting. And you're right, Andrew. It is simple. It's nice. And I think playing a little bit of coach co-op could be fun. But playing it solo through, I was just kind of like, okay, I was just going through the motions, and it was one of those games that you've said before, almost just felt more like work than anything. It's like nothing was really all that engaging in the gameplay to me, I guess.
Keith, I feel like you really helped me out. Andrew told me that you had so many tips and tricks. So, for instance, when you get to 3 stars in cooking, you can just auto cook, and that blew my mind. I was like, I can make 20 of these right now and just not have to worry about it. Because especially with the fry was the hardest for me.
Yeah.
And so if it was at the end of a recipe, there's a chance I was getting 2 stars. But that really helped.
Yeah, frying was rough. At least when you're playing on an actual TV where your refresh rates aren't as good. There's just a hair of a second off on there, and you've burnt the thing, and you're not getting your 3 stars. Which, as a hot tip for you, if you're trying to get all your 3 stars and you mess up the frying, or I guess any of the other pieces as well, just exit your kitchen. It refunds everything that you spent, including your fish and your money, and then just go start it over. So it becomes a bit tedious, obviously, at that point if you keep retrying them over and over, but you can basically guarantee yourself a 3-star. But so the auto cooking is great, but then again it goes to, okay, I've just really made the game more efficient, but I still have to do all these tedious tasks, almost like Graveyard Keeper. And I think they have a lot more automation built into it now, but it would be nice if you could get to a point where you could have a little cooking robot or something. You've got these vending machines. Maybe you have a robot that you program it to say, okay, I'm going to drop off these fish, and I want you to just cook this one recipe, and you could just set it and forget it.
That would be nice.
And you also don't end up needing money really later.
Yeah.
Once you do the renovations, it's like, why am I still doing this? And then also when you're talking about how it can be tedious to cook, they make it more tedious by making it so that you can't just hold and just do a fast select of how many you want. You have to click the stick over 20 times to do 20 of the same recipe. They had little things like that. And same with the lobster traps. I felt took forever to get off my boat. I just felt like they made it certain things take longer so that I didn't want to deal with the fish.
Yeah. So my biggest complaint with the gameplay is I think it took too long for the game to pick up and for you to get the better tools. Because it's a good halfway through the game when you actually, the doors finally get opened and you can actually renovate everything in town. Because when you're playing the game, you have to fight at least 2 bosses, and you only are allowed to renovate like 1 or 2 structures in the town. And then after like the 2 bosses you fight, which there's a total of 4, then the whole town is like, okay, now you can renovate. That's when you can start unlocking, the good, as Liz said, the fish net that lets you catch 5 fish at once, or the multiple lure, or, get your boat to be faster. But you're halfway through the game. And so then, same with the automated fish cooking. Like, by the time you master the recipes, like, you're pretty much close to the end of the game. So that's just my complaint. It took too long for the game to really open up and give you the fun tools to play with.
Yeah, Liz brought this up, but according to Reddit, from everything I saw on there, it does seem like batch cooking doesn't increase your mastery. So if you're trying to get your masteries, it's so much more tedious, but do it one at a time and you'll get through your masteries just as quickly as if you were batch cooking.
Some of the recipes
I confirmed.
are so long.
Yeah, and I confirm that is true. If you cook a recipe, I think it's 13 times, like it was 12 or 13 times, that's how you master it.
Jeez,
it doesn't matter about how many batches you do, it's how many times you actually do the task, which is a little tedious.
Yeah, and the better the recipes, like you get the meat cleaver, and then I didn't get a notification that was going to go around 3 times for the recipe. And,
yeah, that catches you off guard.
But yeah, you have like a bunch of stuff you have to get from your fridge, and it just, like, some of the recipes, it's like you have to chop things multiple times, boil, fry, and it's like that for all the ingredients. It takes so long to do one that, I don't know, I think that's not great.
But what I'm going to say, what I loved about the gameplay, though, is I loved how simple this game was. To me, it was very relaxing. It was very simple, and the game actually isn't too long. I think I beat it within 12 hours. Granted, I was going for a specific achievement where you beat the game within 30 in-game days, and I literally beat it with 2 hours left of in-game time. It was so close, but I actually got the achievement.
That's like 30 seconds too, I think.
It is, yeah.
It's like 5 minutes a second or every 2 seconds or something. Like, that's pretty dang impressive.
I know, it was right at the wire. But yeah, I found the gameplay really relaxing. I thought it just, everything was simple. The fishing is very simple, and it's very forgiving. When you see your bobber going, like, bopping up and down, if you hit too early, no penalty. Even if you hit too late, no penalty. I almost never lost a fish. The only time was like when I was catching like one of the rare fishes. But yeah, everything about the gameplay was just very simple. It was very easy to get money. I didn't feel like I had to do a ton of cooking here over and over and over again. I'd basically create like a very simple thing, and I would just get enough money to really kind of start renovating the places.
And I felt like you could also do what you want. Like, I didn't fish for the longest time because I loved my net, and you could still get a lot of what you need. And I think with making bait, they made it really easy to get that stuff. I never felt like, oh crap, I'm never going to get this. So I feel like I sound very negative towards the game, but there's a lot that I liked about it. Like I said at the beginning, I thought it was so addictive.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's why I think my biggest thing for me was just, I don't want to say it was too simple, because it was nice, and you're right, it was kind of relaxing, but I couldn't get engaged in the game. I don't know, there was nothing interesting to me about the characters or the storyline. I was just sort of skimming most dialogue, and as far as the gameplay, like, I was playing it one night, and almost like you in Art of Escape there, like, I was doing something on one of the menus, I kind of shut my eyes for a second, next thing I knew it was like an hour and a half later. Like, I had just dozed off. So it was, I don't know, there was just nothing really super exciting for me about the game, and that's where I struggle with it, I guess.
I struggled with the fact that the walking made me so dizzy.
Yeah.
There was something about it, and
it's the frame rate.
I didn't get used to it. I think with the scooter, it was a lot better, but I just assumed. I think the last time I felt like this is when I first started gaming with Andrew with Sea of Thieves. I wasn't used to like playing video games, and how quick it moved. It made me slightly dizzy, but I got over it. This game, I put so many hours into it, and it still makes me dizzy.
Yeah, I think Andrew's right. I think it's the frame rate, because there's something weird about it. It's like very quick but choppy.
Yeah, because it's not so much the art style, because we played a game like this. This art style is voxel, is what it's called. But we played the Tourist, and the Tourist was just like this. And we had no issues with that. I remember actually being blown away by the tourist graphics.
This has a lot more going on.
It does.
Like scenery-wise, everything is a lot more condensed. So, I mean, it makes sense, but...
Which, did you know, Liz, you could actually zoom in and out on your camera?
Andrew did show me that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he said it helped him, but...
I preferred it, zoomed out. So that's, just kind of sneaking in another hot tip as we go through. I don't know if it really explains that anywhere, but if you're playing on a controller, the right joystick, right analog stick, you can move it up or down and you can zoom in. But it also zooms slowly, so if it doesn't seem like it's going at first, just keep holding. It'll go.
I feel like it's sad. I feel like this whole episode, we're all like, I don't know if it told me that. You know what I mean? Like, that's why I really feel like there really isn't much of a tutorial. The fact that we're all like, didn't know I could do that.
Well, that's the weird thing about the gameplay is that it's very simple, as Andrew said, but there's just so many small little mechanics that really aren't explained, and you either happen to find them out or you look them up. And right now it's kind of hard to look things up because the game is new, and so there's not a lot of content out there.
Yes and no. I found enough. There was, especially too, when it comes to finding specific fish. Like, I found there to be enough, like, information out there to be like, oh, this is how you find this fish. Like, these are the lure you want to use or what rod you want to use. So I didn't have too much of a issue finding some helpful tips because there actually was a couple where I'm like, oh, is this game bugged? Because near the end, I needed to place a transmitter, but it wasn't giving me the option to activate it. And I'm like, I think my game's broken. I think I'm at the end and I literally can't pass it. So I Googled it and luckily someone else posted about it. And it was because there was a part 2 of the mission that I didn't complete yet. Once I did that, it was perfectly fine. So I think there's enough. But I will say one thing that I absolutely love about Moonglow Bay, I love the designs of the fish. But this is something that kind of makes me, which I don't understand about the story, which Liz was saying. So everyone in this village is superstitious about these fish. This fish causes blizzards. This fish, causes curses. And like, there's all these superstitious stories about these fish. And your character is very much like, no, I'm going to prove it wrong. I'm going to find the fish, capture it so we can study it, blah, blah, blah. You are discovering a lot of fish that are legitimately magical. So I think everyone's superstition is warranted. Like, they're like, oh, there's a storm and it's being caused by a fish. You find out it really is being caused by a fish. But like, your character keeps like brushing out of the carpet of like, no, it's completely reasonable.
Yeah, but does the fish also make them litter and then not clean it up?
Oh, don't get me wrong.
These townspeople, like, cannot complain. I'm sorry. Drives me nuts. That, like, really bothered me. Where they were just, like, so rude and you were, like, cleaning up their houses, cleaning up their parks. And they're just standing at the beach putting in trash. Pick that up. It's like, dude.
Well, I mean, the mayor kind of makes a joke about it. But, you're using money that they give you to rebuild a town that they don't have enough money to rebuild. So they just give all their money to you. I guess you're just better at managing it than they are.
I don't like how the mayor was with his wife. I didn't like the mayor.
There's literally one dialogue.
I know, and it bothered me. I won't get into it. It's fine. But I just like... Ugh.
I feel like it's a jab at me that you're basically trying to say.
What?
I feel like you're trying to compare me to the mayor or something, right?
No.
Oh, okay. But yeah, kind of going back, like, the gameplay, as I said, is very simple, but this game actually puts in, like, 4 boss fights. Did you guys care for the boss fights?
No.
They're very simple. You didn't like them at all? Oh, yeah, you got frustrated, Liz.
Yeah.
Well, that part of it for you was your broken co-op. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I didn't realize I couldn't do something, and I hate when a game wastes my time, which is exactly what happened. But also, I don't like the type of thing where it's like, oh, you have to quickly do this and then pull. It's like, if there's a
Quick time
boss
events.
fight, I want to actually fight. Yeah, that's the thing. The quick time events when you get the thing that you can catch 5 fish at a time, those quick time events were super easy. I liked them because they were so easy and quick. But yeah, the boss fights, I just thought they were annoying.
I mean, I only did the whale. I think I was right at the second one when I called it, but I only did the whale, and I don't know, it wasn't all that interesting.
Yeah, that's how all of them are. They're very simple.
It was just like, okay, cool. I pulled the hooks out, and it even took me a little bit. It was one of those weird things. I was like, I think I know what I'm doing, but it didn't really give me it. There's an indicator, but not a good one. It doesn't explain it to you, so you're just kind of guessing.
Yeah.
It's another thing I couldn't figure out. I don't know. Did you can tell me if I missed this? Maybe parking your boat. I had no idea where to park my boat the first time I took it out. I just wandered around for a while, and then finally I found a video. I was like,
Is there only one pier that you can park at?
At Moonglow Bay, yes, but there's some out in the world that you can park at.
Okay, that's why I was so confused at first too, because I was trying to dock, and then I was like the last one that I tried. I'm like, oh, I guess this one's fine. It's the right one right by your house, but
yeah, it made sense. I didn't remember seeing anything about it anywhere, and I was very confused.
Yeah, so the boss fights, they aren't very interesting. They're not hard at all either. Like, your boat can get broken down, but like it only costs a little bit of money to kind of get your boat shifted over.
Well, it depends on how much money you have. It's 10%
Yeah.
of your overall money that you have on hand. So
Yeah.
it can be a lot, but I guess at the same time, if you've got 5,000 and you lose 500, like, yeah, it stinks. But
It's an achievement.
Yeah, well, exactly. But you still got 4,500. So I guess.
I forget. Does she charge you when she picks you up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When
If you don't have the money.
she always takes 10% of what you currently have in your pocket.
Oh, okay. So if you have zero, she's just like, well, I guess $0 today.
Yep.
See, she's the hard worker in the community.
She is. But one thing I liked about the boss fights, I love the design of the fish. I thought all the fish were really cool. This game honestly kind of reminded me of Pokemon. And it was funny because I thought there was actually 151 fish in this game. So I was like, oh, is this a reference to Pokemon? But now there's actually like 160 something.
It's cool because like they have I guess I'll call them the cards where you can see them in more detail.
Yeah.
But when you're collecting 5 fish at a time, you just see them like coming, and it looks really cool because they're all different shapes and stuff. And
Yeah.
So I feel like they actually did a good job with that.
Yeah, and it's cool too. Like the fish journal you have, as you're talking to people tell you like, oh, the
Beast of the Ice.
yeah, they have like these superstitious names for these creatures. Beast of the Ice, King of the Jungle. One's called like the Dapper Fish or something like that, the Bishop Fish. And so they have these superstitious names, and you find the fish, and you can clearly see why they have the superstitious name. But then when you actually research them, in your journal, it actually will say the superstitious name, but then it gets erased and it actually puts the real fish's name. So I like that this game actually had this cool like discovery to it of like actually figuring out the fish and stuff. And I like that you got like a trading card, like Liz said, and it told you like how you can catch it and where it's located and stuff like that.
Well, I think it's funny that the townspeople would always tell me like, oh, you can get this fish in this area by using this lure and all that kind of stuff. And I was just like, I'm not going to remember that or look it up. I'm just going to use whatever I use and hope for the best because I don't need that fish right now. So, like, I never use that.
Jeez.
Because, I mean, I know eventually you need, like, 90 fish or something. And I've already put so many hours, and I'm kind of on the downhill now with, like, the tedious stuff. So I'm just like, I'm not going to get all 90 fish. So why worry about it? I'm lazy like the people in the game.
Just like them.
One more thing for graphics I want to bring up is that sometimes the map wasn't right. Like, it would show me going through a rock when I was dealing.
Yeah, the mini map wasn't great.
Yeah, so, like, the mini map I would sometimes use, but every once in a while I'd have to use the big map because I just needed a bit more of a sense of direction. And even with the big map, sometimes it would show me going through a rock, and I was like, I think I'm here. So it only happened, like, I think 3 times. But overall, I think that the map was actually pretty great. And I like that it showed you where you put your traps, so you didn't have to remember that.
Yeah.
So I did like the mapping system. It's just a little not right sometimes.
I did tend to use the big map a lot more, although I did run into one issue where I was definitely pointing the right direction, and every time I pulled up my map, I just kept getting further and further away from where I was going. It definitely was not that I was hitting the left trigger and going backwards. I'm positive that I was not doing that.
Yeah, thank goodness
Okay,
you
I
don't
was.
get boat damage from that. Because there's so many times that I'd be like, okay, I need to move forward and just go clunk right into a rock. Like, that happened to me so many times.
You do take damage. It all depends on how fast you're going, though.
I'm a slow driver.
I just love of all people, Keith. It was you who ends up driving reverse and not realizing why you're going forward.
Yeah,
It's such a Liz
something.
move.
It was a good like 1 or 2 minutes of me just being like, wait, what? I swear I'm pointing the right direction. What is going on? What is going on? And I was like, oh yeah, right trigger forward, left trigger backwards. Carry on.
When at the very beginning, I kept accidentally thinking my front was my back. And it's very clear. It is very clear, like, where your front is. But switching back and forth with the map and stuff, I got very confused at the beginning. But that's 100% me. Because I think it was because I kept acting like going backwards. I'm like, wait, is this my friend? I didn't realize that I was going backwards and forwards. Oh my God. It only happened for like 5 minutes. And then I did great. But
I had none of these issues.
Ooh,
I am the
Andrew.
issue.
I know how to go forward and backwards. Ooh.
What a pro gamer.
Look, you guys are mocking me, but you guys little didn't know. So thanks.
So proud of you.
But yeah, so overall, I think the graphics are great. Another real quick thing too is I thought the biomes were interesting enough, but still also kind of look the same until you get to the last biome. The last biome is very ethereal, which is also very surprising that, once again, this is clearly, I can understand why people have superstitions. You go to an area where your boat literally flies, and it's like, yeah, I can understand why people have superstitions about these fish.
I don't get why nobody brought up how cute the seals were in the game, or you could really interact with them. They were
There's
so
also
cute.
monkeys and turtles, but you don't really see them as often. But yeah, the thing that I think just works so well for Moonglow Bay is the music. When it works. There was a couple times, as we said, there's some bugs, but I loved the music. The music is really good. It has a great soundtrack.
I think a lot of it fit the mood, even if the mood wasn't, where you were. You know what I mean? Like, if it was supposed to have been, 10 minutes ago.
Like I said, if it wasn't for the bug.
There was a lot of moods, and I think that they did the moods good. I just felt like I couldn't fully experience them.
It's a very moody game.
You could experience moods in this game. But yeah, it doesn't, but you make a very good point, though, Liz, of the moods, because there's no dialogue. This is, once again, another game that only does character noises of,
I think they did a good job, though, with them. Especially, I played, the older gentleman. I think that he did a really good job.
Yeah, I agree as well.
It wasn't one of those hee ones. It was normal voice, So, yeah, I think they did a good job.
But the music, does a great job, portraying the mood of what's going on, because there's a couple moments where, a lot of people in this town lost loved ones, so you kind of go through some heavy conversations. And I think the music does such a good job kind of conveying that. But yeah, this is definitely kind of a game where I would totally pull up the Spotify and the soundtrack on this game. I feel like this is a really quick episode.
Yeah,
Really? Because I feel like we've been going on forever.
We're only at 45 minutes, though. But anything else in music? Anything else to talk about? Biomes? I glossed over a little bit. Gameplay? No?
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, there's not.
So, then of course, when it comes to the achievements for Moonglow Bay, overall, I don't recommend it for achievement hunters, but it's not that bad, I guess. So I have put, I think, a good 13, 14 hours in this game. I beat it. I have about 400 gamer score. And a lot of the achievements, you can beat the game and still play the game. And a lot of achievements are essentially just, catching 3 specific fish. There's 10 different achievements that do that. So some of them are kind of fairy based. Some of them are kind of science based. So you have to catch these 3 specific fish and you get an achievement for it. But yeah, there was one achievement, as I said, where I beat the game in the 30 in-game days. Oh, I just got that. I was so proud of that.
I hate games that do achievements that are pet the dog 50 times.
Yeah.
It's really? You couldn't think of something else?
It does kind of seem lazy.
What about once? Yeah, it is lazy. And so they just weren't that fun.
Just 10 times, I think, would have been acceptable.
Yes, that would have been acceptable. 50? No.
Then I feel like I'm abusing the dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, once Andrew told me, because I didn't have a lot of achievements on this, I just sat there and I just mashed the button to just pet the dog, pet the dog, pet the dog, pet the dog, until I got the achievement.
I feel like, Andrew, you should have gotten a lot because you kept accidentally petting the dog on the boat when you were, instead of doing something else.
That reminds me.
Yeah.
There's a couple... With the boss fights, when it comes, you have to drive the boat and then get out of the cabin, and your deck on the boat is kind of small, and the dog sits right in the center. So you're timed on some of these boss fights. So I'm getting out and I'm trying to get to the side of the boat to throw a line, and I end up petting the dog. And I'm screaming at my TV, move, you stupid dog. You can't move the dog at all. It just sits dead center.
We should mention Andrew loves dogs in real life.
I do.
I just want to point that out.
It was just frustrating because also, too, you can't go around the dog to the left side of it. So if you need to get to the front of the boat, you have to go to the right side of the dog. And I just wish I could move the dog.
You're also doing a boss fight and the dog ends up in the water and you have to rescue it. What responsible pet owner would have the dog on the boat in a storm, not inside, on the outside.
Yeah, you have a big old room with, you sleep in, you have a kitchen. That dog could just be hanging out in the warm inside. Nope.
Middle of the deck.
Jerk.
Yeah.
But I do like that the achievement's called "You Could Pet the Dog." I thought that was kind of funny.
I did notice, actually, there was one time the dog was straight up blocking me from getting, like, into a building. Fortunately, I was outside, so I just kind of moved away and, like, got him to run out of it. But, yeah, it was not the brightest AI of a dog, I guess you could say.
I got stuck for a good 20 seconds because I thought I could cut through the houses, and there's a lot of paths that you can't cut through. So I went to turn around to go back, and the dog was right there, and it wouldn't move for me. It took like 20 seconds. Doesn't sound like a long time, but when you do your Mississippi's, it is
And when you're Liz, that 20 seconds is an eternity. She doesn't like a game wasting her time.
I'm a very patient person.
That game wasted that 20 seconds. You were pissed.
Hey now, language.
So yeah, the achievements are very fun, and I don't know if I'd recommend it for achievement hunters, but the game itself isn't too long. Like I said, I've been about 12 hours. Since this game is very early, the only time that's kind of clocked in is about an average of 23 hours of kind of completing the game entirely. So I don't think it's a very long game, because there's no real deaths in this game. So that's why I was able to just like go buck wild and just kept running to the finish line to get that achievement. But the achievements, though, do require you to play the game multiple times. So that's another thing, too.
Yeah, I never like that in a game, especially if it's a game that takes even 10 hours. Like, especially because some of those achievements, it's beat the game without ever calling your boat back in, or, little things like that. I'm like, what? There's nothing that's going to change about the story in me replaying it by not calling my boat back in that seems worth it to replay. So, I never care for when games do that. I obviously did not do very well in achievements this week. I think I barely hit 3 digits, so...
Well, okay, now that I think about it, you probably could get all the achievements through one playthrough. Maybe. But you have to be very specific. So, yes, if you want to play this game one time, you have to pull up a guide, read all the achievements, and really plan out what you're doing. So the chances of you being able to do it in one playthrough is very low, but I guess it is possible.
I guess I was gonna say, I guess some of it you could do one of those things where you save, do an achievement, and then go back. I don't know.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's not or that's fun, but.
And once again, this game has a ton of secret achievements, which I was thinking, oh, cool, this is all probably story related. So that's why I was like, I probably have a while to go. But then I actually looked them up, and a lot of the secret achievements are just 100%ing things. Fully repairing the town, having everyone in the town sign your book, cook every recipe. These were the secret achievements. It's like, why is it secret? This is always such a pet peeve of mine. But anyway, I digress. Getting into our final thoughts here. So for me, I thought Moonglow Bay was a very relaxing time. The gameplay is very simple. The story, kind of has some plot holes to it. A lot of the characters aren't too interesting. But overall, I thought it was an enjoyable experience. It was something that I really could just relax. The music was nice. The fishing is very simple and not too tedious. The cooking's a little tedious. For me, I'm giving it just a solid 75.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have anything bad to say about the game. Like you said, it's simple. It's not bad other than some of the bugs, but I genuinely think they're going to be fixing some of that. There was nothing about it for me that I was ever excited or wanted to play. I'd rather play something more involved personally. Stardew Valley's coming out, and I've owned it for years anyways. But I'd quicker recommend a game like Stardew Valley, or even honestly maybe My Time at Portia, just because I think it was more fun to play. This just didn't really do a lot for me. But I think you're right. I think if you want to sit down and do a game you can play with co-op with your kids, I think there's something to be said for that. But I don't know. For me, I think maybe a 71, I'll call it.
I think I'm going to give it a 78. I keep going through times where I think 80 is too high, and then I think 80 is too low. And I feel like I've talked myself down. I sound really negative about this game, but I actually found it really addicting. I had fun. I just don't know what to give it, because there are some things that just irritated me. And looking at Metacritic, not a lot of scores. Xbox One TBD, Series X 79 and TBD, and the reviews range between 60 and 90. And a critic that gave it a 60 said, Moonglow Bay is a good game for those who want a fishing-heavy simulation game with a cute story. That said, the game would benefit from some large updates to improve minigame controls and shopkeeping mechanics, creating a more intuitive experience for players. As it stands now, it's difficult to recommend outside of the very... This is one of those words that I can say it in my head, but I have trouble saying it out loud. Niche?
Yeah.
Okay, I said it right this time.
Niche.
As it stands now, it's difficult to recommend outside of this very niche audience described. And while it has good ideas, its execution makes broader appeal an impossibility. I thought that was an interesting review. Any reviews from our listeners?
Nope, because this game literally just came out like a couple weeks ago, so a lot of people have not played it.
We still want to hear them, though, guys.
Yeah. Please, go to our Facebook at Game Pass Grab Bag. We will post pictures of the games that we were playing. Please, we would love to hear reviews. We always love to hear your guys' thoughts and have a discussion. But we're also on Twitter at GBGBpod. If you have a game recommendation or just want to say hi, you can also email us at GamePassGrabBag@gmail.com. I've been your hardcore gamer host, Angie. You can find me on Xbox Live at Firebird01952.
And I've been Keith. I think I brought up Keith's reviews last week, but I'm going to...
You did.
Just because I'm fishing for compliments this week.
Oh,
hey.
I see what you did there.
Yep, I'll see myself out on that one.
And I'm Liz Noob, gamertag Dean, and I'm on Twitter at Liz Noob is EW. And yeah, Andrew has been streaming lately. Forza just came out, guys.
Oh my gosh.
I'm assuming you're going to stream some of that.
If you are playing Forza, we did make a club, Game Pass Grab Bag. So if you want to join our club, just look us up.
Yeah, definitely an episode to come on that.
Oh yeah. Liz, are you excited to play Forza?
I think one of our special co-hosts is going to return, right?
Possibly. But yeah, anyway, I think that's going to do it for us this week. Thank you all so much for joining. We love you all. We hope to see you again next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.